It is that time, and we will have. It looks like we'll have Dylan Butler on audio, but it's good to have Dylan back, and we can talk about a bunch of things. Uh, Dylan, good morning. And okay, so so as soon as I toss to him, okay, so I think he's trying to figure out his camera.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's not working.
Okay,
I don't know why.
I,
It must be UEFA issued.
yes, it's a UEFA issued camera.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what we were getting into this morning. I know that shocks you. That we
Oh
were.
yeah, I can get into it. That's for sure.
So please, sir, while I promote the fact that you have returned to the show, please get into the discussion we were having, mostly of hour number one, about UEFA handball rules being different than Premier League handball rules. Miley having the same thing happen possibly to the opposite arm that Livramento did. You get a different call and a different result. Please proceed with your Newcastle-ness, sir.
I mean, look. Here's what I don't understand. Right in live time, you thought there was an issue. There was going to be a problem with so many penalty shouts, and once and I think I think the commentators had it spot on, right? They were like, "Oh, this is going to be a pen because look, he's going to the monitor. This would appear to be so." And then it was as clear as day, right? Like it deflected off the body onto the arm. There's no reason for that to be a pen. And sure as ish it was, right? And then, right, arguably the best player in the world, outside of the guy who plays in Miami, scores the goal. And now, Newcastle go, in this group of death, they go from likely just needing a draw at home against Milan, which, you would probably put pretty good odds on, right? To advance, to now it not being completely in their hands. And now you need help from Dortmund and you know and then for UEFA to, I don't know if gall is the right word, but to have the cojones, right, to come out
The grapefruits, yes, sir.
the day after and be like, yeah, you know what? Listen, man, our bad. The guy's not going to work today. Oh, cool. Great. Thank you. Thank you, because that completely rectified the entire situation. We knew it shouldn't have been. Everyone knew it, right? Like if you're watching it live, you knew it. And here's the thing. If this was 5 years ago, if this was 10 years ago, and a penalty was given, which, by the way, it wasn't given on the play live by the official. So now it's right, clear and obvious are the words, right? If a penalty was given by the official in live time in the speed of play, you could almost live with that, because you go, look, listen, man, he doesn't have replay at his disposal, right? It's it sucks for Newcastle, but until if there's ever a day that replay is used, then they'll get that right. Well, guess what? They didn't. They got it wrong. And it's infuriating. Like I almost wish that UEFA didn't come out with a statement.
And just kind of buried the lead. It's just
because the points aren't given back, right? Is there a subsequent statements coming out? Well, after reviewing, especially considering the time of the game, Newcastle will be awarded the 2 points that they were wrongly taken away. No, of course they won't. But because also, look, obviously, I'm not stupid. There's no guarantee that they don't score after that, right? Like if you can't, that's not the last play of the game. Obviously, there were a few more minutes. There was a great opportunity. They almost scored another goal. On the night, though, they couldn't find the net without help from the official. So it's now my only solace, if there is solace in the situation, is that it's not the final match day. It's that there is an opportunity now for Newcastle to, listen, the first tiebreaker which got, oh man, I thought it was goal difference, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And guess what the goal difference is between PSG and Newcastle right now?
Was it 4-5?
One freaking goal.
One freaking goal. Okay.
That goal. That's going to be the goal to be, but no, it's actually head-to-head points. So if it's PSG and Newcastle tied at the end, we whip their what's at home. They were fortunate to get a draw on the road at home, I should say, in Paris last night. So we would go through on the head-to-head. We would finish second, but again, we've got to play it through, and I feel for the players on the night too, because look, this is a mash unit of a team, right? There's so many injuries, and it's so true. I mean, Newcastle haven't had to deal with this for more than 2 decades, right, of playing in the Champions League. We don't have the depth yet, so. For those guys, for those 11 to play the way they did for 90 minutes, to suffer the way they did in the second half, to not come away with the result that they should have gotten, that should have been their headline, right? Gutty Newcastle moves one step closer to advancing the Champions League, despite being hamstrung with injuries. I mean, that's way too long of a headline, but instead it's about, more VAR crap.
So then let me ask you this. What about the usage of slow-mo in VAR? Where do you stand on that as a part of the larger picture in the administration of a call?
If it rights a wrong, if it provides clarity, why not?
That was the biggest. That was like a sub issue that has been brought up this morning about the whole thing, is that if you're going to use VAR at full speed.
Yeah. Well, no, but just use every bit of VAR you have at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like slow it down, like the Zapruder film, if you need to.
Right.
Just get it right.
Yeah. So how was your Thanksgiving?
Sorry for my soapbox there,
dude. That's what we're here for. It's all good.
It was good. It was quiet. It was fun to watch the parade with my daughter, and it's not a big football family, so I think a large portion of the day was watching Bluey, which is a great show. So I don't mind that. So okay. it was good. How about you?
It was. I spent more time driving than I did at the actual location.
Well, that's not good.
Traditionally, we have family spread out in 2 separate states. And so for us here in Atlanta, we're driving to Montgomery, which is 2.5 hours. And there are folks who are driving from South Alabama to Montgomery. It's less than that. So we meet in the midpoint, which really isn't a midpoint, but it's like the spoke in the wheel. We drive from Montgomery. So for me, 2.5 hours down, 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back, because I got playoff football the next day. And so I had to go back, I had to come back and be here to prepare and try to look like I knew what I was talking about on Black Friday. So that was,
I was fortunate with that. Largely my football season ended this Saturday before that, which was a championship triple header.
Yes.
So I left my house at 8:30 in the morning, and I returned to my house at 11:30 at night on Saturday. And then, being the good girl dad that I am, Sunday morning went to Disney on Ice. So
okay.
Yes.
So you had Disney characters with oversized heads on ice skates.
Yes.
Okay.
And somehow the biggest cheers, I think it must have been just because it was from the boys, was when like Cars, like the movie Cars.
Yeah.
When the cars went onto the ice, like they don't skate. Like it's not skaters. Like it's not. It's just these big cars, like sliding around the ice. It was odd.
But yeah, it's all right. So we're gonna have hydroplaning with cars. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so we've had some things happen with playoffs, and this is the first time that we've had you on since we've gotten to the Final Four. So what's your 30,000-foot look at getting to the Final Four? What have you seen since we've had you on? Haven't had you on in the last 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, we got the matchup I was trying to will into existence, right? The hell is real. So it is real, and it will not be. It's the realest it will be to this point. So, and actually, right, the realest it could ever be, because they wouldn't match up unless somehow there's teams moving from the east to the west or whatever. But like, they will never meet in a higher with more stakes, right? So that is one. And listen, props to you, man. Like you called it. I thought that
I said something right.
Yeah, well, I said I thought it was going to be of the two results you needed to happen to get to hell is real. I thought it was a tougher road for Columbus. I think I said that, and then you were like, no, I don't know about that because of Philly, but also I think because you're throwing shade at Orlando, and you were right in both senses. So
I have to mark this tape if I was correct. It's just you look at everything now, and I have really been impressed with what Wilfried Nancy has done. If I could get my upper plate to work, with what Wilfried Nancy has been able to do, and players having fun, and obviously I think that we lock into positional play a bit too much, and it's this free flowing thing that you're looking at, and it's hard to account for folks. And then when you have center backs who are engaged and you have all of this kind of stuff, you don't know where the danger is coming from when you're looking at Columbus. And I think that that's what makes them as dangerous as they are. And, you go up against a Cincinnati team that had a makeshift back line, and we still do not have anything on the Matt Miazga investigation, and this Wednesday before a conference final. Now that I think about it, we got the suspension from the double yellow, but the charging in with a pizza box, or however Pat Noonan wanted to describe it, we don't have anything extra with the investigation from Major League Soccer yet. So we're still waiting on whether or not Matt Miazga is going to be available for a conference final.
Yeah, usually I would say tomorrow, only because usually this, like the disco rulings, the disciplinary
news dump
ruling comes out on Thursdays on a usual match week. So I would guess that to be the case.
Okay, so
I'm not speaking on it. I don't have any certainty to that. I'm not. I don't have anything embargoed in my email. You don't have my camera to. I'm being absolutely truthful with that. I don't have any advanced knowledge of.
You're not holding a piece of paper that says advanced knowledge.
No,
you have your camera turned off just so we can't see it.
Absolutely not.
Western Conference Benny ball continues to make its way through, and I mean this is the thing, and I don't think we've had the chance to discuss this. Why? And we had Glenn Davis on yesterday, and we've been discussing. We have been trumpeting Ben Olsen to get Coach of the Year votes. I mean, he wouldn't necessarily get Coach of the Year, mind you, because of what you were looking at with Carnell and Noonan and Wilfried Nancy, but why he isn't being discussed more in the Coach of the Year discussion, even though he probably still wouldn't win it. It's almost like Ben Olsen and what he's done in Houston's an afterthought.
Yeah, in so many ways too, right? And like even look at Sunday's two games, right? And listen, I'm in a salty mood, so
nothing wrong with that.
But honestly, it did look like, didn't it feel like it was like the varsity and the JV games? Like the varsity semifinal was Seattle LAFC, and you would have said that should have been the final, right? And whoever was advancing out of that was going to clearly be the favorite against whoever advanced out of the other game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between Houston and SKC. That's just the way it was in the West. So even on the day, like, they were an afterthought, right? Like, you were like, oh, cool, this is the appetizer, so we can get to the turkey and the stuffing and mashed potatoes at Lumen Field. So but yeah, listen, man, huge credit to them. And I think and I was on the desk Sunday. I was on a few of those press conferences, and he's said it throughout the season, so it's not like it's new information. But huge credit to them too, where it's not just makeover for makeover's sake. It's not just replacing this guy with another guy who has similar traits, if not better, maybe younger. They went after winners, right? Like guys who, whether it's in this league or other leagues, who have won trophies before, and put them into that locker room. And that helps change culture quicker than anything else. So it's one thing if the manager says this or that, but it's another thing to have guys who have been through it. And, in the case of like a Franco Escobar, as you guys well know, in Atlanta,
that's true.
Guys who not only have been in it, but have played massive roles in it. Right. So, I think that was huge on their part. I think that was wise on their part. And, yeah, they're just humming along. I mean, listen, I think honestly, once they made the playoffs, it just felt like it was gravy from here on in, right? Like they were well ahead of schedule for their resurgence, or whatever you wanted to call it. And now they're still playing with house money, right? Like they're going to go to LA as this underdog, as they've been all year long, right? As this dark horse that no one expects can do anything. And I think maybe even the first question of Olsen in the press conference was about his team's road form, right? Like, so already it was setting up like, well, you guys don't win on the road. How do you change that? Well, all right.
30% of the teams win on the road in Major League Soccer.
So yeah, I think it shapes up great for them, right? Like, all the pressure is on LAFC and being defending champions and being at home, and perfect for the Dynamo.
Well, and I mean, with LAFC, I would maintain that they still haven't been right after exiting CONCACAF Champions League. It's something there that's, I mean, you look at Denny Bouanga, and no doubt about it with what he's been able to do, but it seems like Carlos Vela, all Carlos Vela wants to do is try to draw fouls and complain when he doesn't get the fouls drawn. And he is not the same individual that he was even last year. I mean, Carlos Vela his productivity has fallen off, and it's just like, it seems like, in the back line, why in the blue-ish Seattle isn't running at Giorgio Chiellini all night long? 9,000-year-old Chiellini, why are you running him into the ground? That was just, I'm like, serious. Why? I feel like Ross. Why? I have too many questions with LAFC in general, but going to BMO and that building, obviously the 3252 plays a big part in this. And then it seems like, I don't know why this is, but at BMO specifically, where LAFC is concerned, if they get one, then that momentum is there, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and it turns into 2 and 3 almost instantaneously. I don't know any other, there are a whole lot of buildings that do that in the Western Conference, but it just seems like once they get that one, the field tilts, and if you don't hang on, then it's going to get ugly quick.
Yeah, and their keeper has his mojo back, right? Which what a great story that is, right? As well, like again, it's probably like 1:30 in the morning, and God bless LAFC's PR team, man. They were rolling in, all right, next up is this guy for our press conference. Like, all right, cool. Next up is this guy. Yeah, like, but
Crepeau's been big.
He was fantastic in that game against Seattle, especially, and so yeah, like you get There's so many great storylines in this one as well, right? It's not the classic rivalry that Hell is Real is, and the hatred that comes with that. But you've got listen, if you're from Mexico and you follow MLS, you've got another like you did in the last round, right? With Polito and Herrera. Now you've got Vela and Herrera, right? You've got the darlings of MLS, right? The flashy LAFC side against this hardworking machine that's in Houston, right? You've got Benny Ball against whatever you would call it for Cherundolo. Like there's a lot in it. I think both games are going to be hugely entertaining and certainly intriguing. Again, I think I that's what I thought LAFC. If you would have put LAFC Seattle as the Western Conference Final, I would not. I think that probably had a little bit more to it, if I'm being fair, than LAFC Houston does. But still, we're going to be tuning in. That's for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Juice boxes right now, or actually, sorry, Christmas side dishes. FC Cincinnati is a plus 121 at home. 90-minute draw is a plus 247. Crew are now down to a plus 214. I'm thinking 90-minute draw here to plus 247.
90-minute draw, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I think that Crew probably tries to slow things down. It might be 1-1, 1-1, 2-2, somewhere in there. I think obviously that Lucho gets his, and then it comes from another source. I don't think it's going to necessarily be another goalless draw where Yerson Mosqueda comes up late in the 94th with something. But I could see it going 1-1 and then going. I think it might take a while for that one.
Here's a question for you that just kind of thought up here. When you look at the losers on this weekend or this past weekend,
yeah,
whose championship window is really close, and whose window is a little bit left open, like between Philly and Seattle?
Oh, between Philly and Seattle.
Yeah.
I think probably Seattle's is more closed because Philadelphia comes across to me as a system where you can have younger guys who can come in and fill in those spots, and you can make a strategic transaction to help out, obviously, with Wagner probably leaving and that kind of a thing. I think you can make a strategic purchase, and with what you have from your academy, I think that the younger guys can help fill those gaps. I think that Seattle, and we went over the after the losses on Monday, we went over how many folks are out the door. And I want to say it was like 13 or 14 players have contracts that end at the end of this calendar year for Seattle. And it was Rusnak, it was Ladero, it was Rui Diaz. I mean, you had a lot of the big guns for Seattle who are out of contract. And so that's why I was thinking that it was going to be Seattle because of just the roster upheaval that we're staring at here with contracts and folks that are going to be, out the door. And so, okay, so I found it because it was actually bookmarked. One of the few things that was bookmarked. Rusnak, Ladero, Montero, JP, Eber, Kellen Rowe, Arriaga, Stefan Cleveland, Paul Rothrock, Josh Atencio, Jackson Reagan, Dylan Tevez, Jacob Castro, Abdoulaye Sissoko. That's your 2023 end of the calendar year folks that need to have decisions made in very short order when it comes to Seattle. I would say Seattle more than Philly.
You thought I was going to go with Orlando, and you were just going to poop on them a little bit.
Well, but I think that Orlando's got some decisions too, and the biggest decision they've got is on Oscar Pareja.
And you wonder if there's a decision on Jim Curtin as well, or if there's a if that's, I don't know. I think his Bedoya statements.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to.
I was going to get into that since you mentioned Philly. I was going to say it's like, okay, so Ernst Tanner says one thing about Bedoya.
Yeah.
And then Jim Curtin goes, well, I think there was a misunderstanding there. That's not going to sit well. That's a staring.
Well, neither is in any. What did he say? In any other, in any team around the world or in any league or something along the lines of that, the head coach would have say in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a contest that involves 10-100 that I don't think that Jim Curtin's going to win.
Mm-mm.
And you wonder, because when he said what he said about Bedoya, I was like, I think there was a miscommunication there. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay. I don't think there was, but okay, now that you put that out there, much like Marty Schottenheimer, there just comes a point where you sit there and you're like, no, man, the message is done. I think that the message is getting lost here. You hit that career dissipation number, and it's just, it might be time. It might be time to go and try and find a different pasture. I'm just saying.
And in which case, I mean, not to open this Pandora's box.
Oh, come on. Go ahead and open it.
So now Jim Curtin and all of his success in Philly with some job openings, right? Like, where could he land?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, Jim Curtin, I know that you love the 4-4-2 diamond. Wherever you go, it would, you're going to have to change, at least in the short term, to the personnel that's there on hand in whatever formation they used the previous season. I don't think you could go to Orlando and take, Duncan McGuire and Facu Torres and sit there and go, okay, guys, 4-4-2 diamond, go. I don't think that would necessarily play. It's interesting, but yeah, I think that is Curtin kind of sitting there and trying to poke Ernst Tanner in the sternum over and over again with his index finger and go, all right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then Tanner just sits there and goes, all right, you're out.
Or like that old whatever cartoon it was, I'm going to draw this line. Yep. Like, you can't cross it. All right, now I'm going to draw this line. You can't cross this line.
Yes, exactly. So that definitely does bring subplot and intrigue to Philly in the offseason. And then the Western game, and like I said, looking at the juice boxes from the Christmas side dishes for the next match out west, get this. And it's gone up since we've been talking about it. LAFC, obviously, big favorite at home at BMO at a -159.
Who knew that I would just me being on your show has changed the odds as much by touting LAFC the way they did.
Well, and get this, the 90-minute draw is at +309. The number that has gone up is Houston. Houston is at a +405 in the composite right now. That's gone up since we've been talking about it. That +405 is a tempting number. It really is. With Christmas side dishes and such, hey, I mean, I could take that. I could take that +309 for the 90 minutes. I could take that +405 for Houston to win outright.
Put a fiver on it.
Yeah, I could see that. Although we neither condone or endorse that kind of behavior, and if we do, then just please do your juice boxes responsibly. That's all we want. Do not give your favorite flavored juice boxes if you can't afford not to wish to have the great refreshment of said juice box. That's the biggest thing, So MLS best 11 before you go. Berkey,
get a fullback in there somewhere. Why are fullbacks? First of all, a fullback is never apparently going to be the defender of the year.
Yeah,
but they've got to at least be part. Like, who runs around with just center backs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's guys in the wings, no? Like, Walker Zimmerman isn't running up and down the left flank.
No, he's not. That is true.
Tim Parker's not doing that.
No.
And I love Tim Parker.
And how is it that Yeimar Gomez Andrade is a finalist in the award but not mentioned as a best 11 defender?
No, that's fair too.
And
I just think it needs to be. It needs to look more like a team, right? Like,
it's just like your best.
There's really good fullback, wing backs in his league, and it just feels like that's like the bastard stepchild of, like, you're not quite a number 10, You're not quite a winger who we consider a forward. You're not quite a center back. So you're kind of like out there at the kids' table at scraps, right? Like
you're over there. You're eating at the kids' table in the kitchen.
Yes.
Berkey, there were teams that gave up less goals. I mean, you had Gillespie and Andre Blake, who I believe gave up less goals than Berkey did. But yeah, the defenders for me, Miazga, Parker, and Zimmerman. I thought that I would put in Yamar over Miazga. And
yeah, but he was the defender of the year. I
know. So my biggest thing once again would be keeper and Yamar in over Miazga. So that would be because the rest of it is Lucho Acosta, Thiago Almada, Ache, Mukhtar, Buanga, Yakamakis, and Cucho. I would say just make it like your best roster, like your best 20. What's your game day 18 or something like that?
Right.
Do something that way. So that would be, like I said, those were my beefs with the best XI, and so that's all I know.
For me, like I said, for me, it's let's give the fullback, wingback some love.
There you go. So what is the latest with you now? Is the calendar is going to turn to December, and we got conference finals this weekend. What's going on with you and varsity and OSDB and MLS soccer?
Yeah, what's good is our basketball coverage really won't ramp up until the new year. So a nice break. I do have an all-star football game to call this Sunday. But that would do it for football, and then basketball. Like I said, we probably won't start until like January 3rd for that. So that'd be nice. So yeah, all eyes on MLS and the season wrapping up. And as we know, it's not like we could even say there's going to be an off season because there really isn't.
No, there isn't.
With the silly season opening up, and then preseason, and then Champions League or Champions Cup, excuse me.
The hemispheric extravaganza, yes.
Yeah, so no rest for the weary there, but yeah, I think since the next time we'll be speaking is previewing MLS Cup, I will say it'll be and you know what? Just because I want MLS Cup to be like, I don't know, you probably won't top last year, but I want it to be as like entertaining as all hell. So I'm gonna go Columbus and LAFC.
Okay, I'll go Columbus and Houston.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, I think that they both would be. I think Columbus and LAFC would be fun. I think you take the over, and I think that Houston's not going to back down from anybody either. So, and I think that the story of Benny Ball working its way through Houston, hopefully it will put a jump charge in that market as well when it comes to doing things. So please make sure that you can find out what's up with your camera, unless it was just shielding us from showing classified information on the show.
I don't know what happened. Like I had it off on a Zoom, but I didn't like shut it off like completely. It's always on when I'm jump on with you. I don't know why.
I don't know. So then what's your mug for this morning?
UEFA suck. No. Grateful for some reason.
Okay. Well, yes, no doubt. That's.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that there's another match day where the soccer gods will hopefully shine upon Newcastle upon Tyne and allow us to advance in the Champions League. Although the way that this team is it's kind of almost like I don't know if you're a Marvel guy, but it's almost like, when Thanos comes out and like puts the rings on and like, everyone starts to just go to dust. It feels like that's happening with my team, with all the injuries that's happening. So I don't, one thing is for certain, either I want to advance in the Champions League, just because I think generally that will help the bottom line and will help Newcastle with the whole financial fair play and get more players in the January window. Either that or I just out. I don't want to go to play, in February in Warsaw, like
You don't want to play Astana in Kazakhstan
no,
in the
no,
Conference League?
absolutely not. Just eliminate us then, like altogether. Let Milan go and do that.
And on a Tuesday where you're like the 8:45 a.m. Eastern time game
Yeah,
on
no, thank you.
Paramount Plus. All right,
We don't need to stretch the depth that we don't have any thinner by playing in the JV championships.
Oh, there you go. All right, it's great to have you back. Belated Happy Thanksgiving, and next week we'll go over the conference finals next week and get ready for MLS Cup. Be safe, my friend.
Yes, sir. Same to you.
Stay warm, Dylan Butler. And man, Dylan was on fire this morning. Newcastle will do that. Much like Alex, like you get Dylan to talk about Newcastle, and especially with what happened yesterday. Yeah, buddy. You knew that was coming.